Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. Vasyl Lomachenko says he turned down the fight with Manny Pacquiao because he was too old. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing if you want to become part of the gang. Notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Big up to the brand new Patreon members and the channel members. We working. Now, Vasyl Lomachenko, he did an interview with Seconds Out. Link is in the description. He talked about his upcoming fight. He's fighting this weekend against Jose Pedraza. You know, I don't feel the fight's getting, the light that it may have. It's just not getting all the exposure because people are still talking about Wilder Fury. But he talked about having a little bit of time off because of his shoulder injury sustained in the Jorge Linares fight. Said quote, "It was a good rest for me." He says, "I've been boxing since I was a child. I had a lot of competition. So this surgery was my first real rest, first big vacation in my whole life." Right? Then they started talking about Mikey Garcia, a possible fight with him. And then Radio Raheem asked Lomachenko about, do you see yourself fighting Pacquiao if he beats Broner? And Lomachenko, he said some things that were pretty interesting, link in the description again. And he says basically Pacquiao's too old and he's not trying to make his name off of a legend, off the back of a legend, right? I'm going to read a direct quote that I wrote down. He says, "I'm not disrespecting Manny Pacquiao, but I don't want to make my name bigger because I beat an old legend. I have my own road. There are a lot of good fighters to fight who are comparable to me. He's old. I think Manny Pacquiao's career is done. I just don't want to become a legend in boxing because of him." So he says he was offered to fight at one point, I think last year or earlier this year or whenever, to fight Manny Pacquiao, and he said he turned it down. And he says, "I'm not turning it down because I'm afraid, because I'll fight anyone. I'm not afraid." Listen, I was listening to him say this, and he needed also a translator, his manager, Aegis Clemens, to, help fully get his thoughts out. His English is definitely improving. I give him props for that. But I was listening to it, and something just doesn't seem like 100% about that. I'm going to explain why. You listen to it, it sounds noble. I don't want to make my name off of a legend. I want to pay homage to the legends, and I don't want to be the guy that beat the. But at the end of the day, this is boxing. Fighters, this is what happens. The young fresh blood comes in. You look at Canelo Alvarez, big star in boxing, right? He fought Shane Mosley, who was older. Shane was 41, I think. He fought Carlos Baldomir, 40, 41, right? These guys weren't, especially like Baldomir. He knocked Baldomir out in America, I think it was. And people started taking notice to who's this Canelo kid. He slept Baldomir. This is not the Baldomir that beat Zab Judah, fought Floyd Mayweather, but it's boxing. This is what it is. You match the young quality fighter. Look at Shakur Stevenson with Top Rank. He just fought a veteran in his last fight and knocked him out. A guy hadn't been knocked out before. That's what happens. So it sounds honorable, but even if this is 100% his true reasoning, I don't think it's smart because, first of all, I don't think Pacquiao is where he's making it sound like. I think Pacquiao's still formidable. I think he showed you that in the Lucas Matisse fight. So I think that would be a hell of a fight, Lomachenko versus Pacquiao. And as far as getting credit, he's the guy moving up and moving through divisions. And it's not like he's 22. Lomachenko is probably right around Broner's age, maybe even older than Broner. And Broner's getting ready to fight him. And I do believe that if Pacquiao were to stop Broner, he's going to get credit for it. And if Broner pulls the upset, because I think Pacquiao might be the favorite, then people will give credit to Broner. So I don't subscribe to the same viewpoint as Lomachenko, making it sound like, almost as if he's such a faded legend, he's not going to get credit anyway. Because if Broner is to beat Pacquiao in January, then I'm definitely giving him credit, because it's still Pacquiao. Pacquiao got more fights probably more knockouts than Broner got fights, and then a lot of these guys, Pacquiao has like 60 something fights. So that's one thing. The other thing is Lomachenko is the guy who is moving up in weight, so he would certainly get credit if he were to fight Pacquiao. This is what I really think it is, and I'm not trying to just like say Lomachenko is quote unquote afraid. However, I think it doesn't suit his needs. Like, first of all, you have to look at the weight. I don't think Pacquiao was going to come down to 35, which means he would have to likely fight, either at a catch weight, and I don't even know if Manny wants to do a catch weight under 140. Manny still commands, respect and stuff like that. He's still a legacy type of name, and he's going to get I'm sure he's getting a lot of money for the Broner fight and whatnot. So he probably wouldn't have the jurisdiction to override Manny Pacquiao. So most likely the fight would have to be at 140 or better. Pacquiao, I think he can make 140. He came close in the Chris Algieri. I think that was at like 143 maybe. So I think the fight would have to happen either at welterweight or it happened at 140. And I think that's the biggest issue. I don't think Lomachenko would be saying, oh, he's old and I don't want to. If Pacquiao was willing to come down to 135, where, he hasn't been in several years, he hasn't been in the 130, like probably a decade. He hasn't been that low. So I think that's more the reason, as opposed to he's just so faded and, there's other guys to fight. You guys got to just do the math. You got to look at it like, for example, if that's how you view boxing, and like, I'm not going to fight this guy and this guy, no matter. And see, the other thing is, Lomachenko would get a handsome check by fighting Pacquiao. So, that's another reason why it's not what I would say smart. Because one, sometimes the fans just care about the big names, at least the casuals. They just like the fact that it's Lomachenko versus Pacquiao. So I know it would be a event, just like Broner, where people are talking about it and he would get paid well. So that's another reason it doesn't really make sense. But beyond that, I do think him being a guy who came up from 26 and stuff, he would get credit. I think it's more so he doesn't want to fight Pacquiao at a weight that Pacquiao would probably command him to fight at, which is 140 to 147, But, it just doesn't seem like that, because if you're this like, you're just being so noble and you don't want to fight this guy because, you want your own victories, your own journey and stuff like that. He's fighting Jose Pedraza this weekend. Yes, Jose Pedraza has a belt, but so does Manny Pacquiao at 147, right? The other thing is Pedraza just got stopped by Gervonta Tank Davis a few years ago, maybe 2016, January, right? So he got stopped, in people's recent memory, and he just moved up to this division. So what would you think people will give you more credit for? Beating Jose Pedraza, who got stopped in Tank's first step up, that was Tank's real first step up title fight, or if you were to beat Manny Pacquiao, so that's another reason why that notion doesn't really make sense to me, because you're fighting Pedraza, and I think most people would be able to agree that Pacquiao presents a greater risk than Jose Pedraza. So as far as saying, hey, I'm not trying to make my name by beating an old legend, I mean, you fought guys who are lesser threats than Pacquiao. Jason Sosa, no amateur career. Nicholas Walters hasn't. Nobody he's fought has, really accomplished what Pacquiao has accomplished. And the other reason, to me, I don't think this is the greatest look for him to admit this on tape or whatever, is because he's admitting that Top Rank had an interest in making the fight. So there's some kind of discord between him and his team, and they agreed, or he or whatever decided that he doesn't want to fight Pacquiao. The other thing with that is, like I said, Pacquiao is just a more formidable name. He's a more formidable name. You'll get more credit beating Pacquiao than Miguel Marriaga or Jason Sosa or Jose Pedraza. You know what? It doesn't matter what Juan Manuel Marquez did. He had 4 opportunities to learn Pacquiao, right? I think that's a hell of a fight, you know, and it's kind of disappointing because I would really like to see a fight like that stylistically. And the other thing is we still have questions about Lomachenko. Even at 135, Pedraza might be a tough fight. We have to see. You know, Lomachenko's obviously the favorite, but he got knocked down by Jorge Linares. So if Linares can knock you down, from what I heard, you know, I know people that were around in the wildcard gym at the time, Pacquiao used to destroy Linares in sparring and stuff like that. So again, if you could fight guys like Jorge Linares and, you know, Pedraza, then I really see no reason why a Pacquiao would be too stale or past his expiration date. I don't think Pacquiao is faded like that. Like I said, we just seen Pacquiao destroy Lucas Matisse. And again, if Pacquiao beats Broner, he advances and likely gets a Floyd Mayweather fight, Errol Spence, or, you know, Sean Porter or somebody. So, you know, I can't agree with Lomachenko here. I think it's a big fight. He would get a lot of money, and it would be a chance to, you know, it'd be the best name on his resume, legend or not. And like I said, even if that is his true thinking, I don't think it's the right thing, because boxing has been built on, you know, the dethroning of a legend. Look at Pacquiao's career. Pacquiao beat Oscar De La Hoya, and then that was his last fight. He retired, right? Kovalev and Joe Smith Jr., they beat a legend in Bernard Hopkins. I just feel like you can't worry about that, somebody's age. You just got to train for the opponent and you know, do what you have to do. But if your recent opponents are considered lesser than Pacquiao, then that reasoning and rationale doesn't really hold up to me. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. You know, and the other thing, I keep thinking of points. Other thing, he says he's not disrespecting Pacquiao, but it is kind of disrespectful. He's just saying he's basically washed and done. I just don't think Pacquiao, like, I don't look like, to me, Antonio Margarito is more done than Pacquiao. You know, he hasn't looked the same. Pacquiao still looks, he's still fast enough. He still caught Floyd and clipped it, you know, so he would get credit. But another thing is that why this whole thing Lomachenko is saying makes no sense to me is because he just said today at the final press conference or whatnot that even if Mikey Garcia loses to Errol Spence, he would fight him. So why would you be willing to fight a guy coming off of a loss, you know, to Errol Spence? Because if Mikey loses to Errol Spence, I think most people would probably gather it would be a TKO or some version of a knockout. You know what I'm saying? If he were to lose. And Lomachenko just said today that he's willing to fight Mikey even if he loses, you know, at lightweight or whatever. So Pacquiao's too old, but you could fight Mikey coming off a loss and all these other guys that are lesser than Pacquiao, accomplish less, hit harder. They hit less hard than Pacquiao. You know, that it just doesn't make sense to me. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.